now they're trying to make a new big fuss about the situation in Xinjiang with all sorts of ridiculous accusations. This is a completely coordinated campaign. Basically, it's been run by the CIA. There's no doubt about that. And China has got to be able to respond to this and make the facts about the situation in Xinjiang clear. I mean, inventing things is not new for the United States. I mean, if you go back to classic cases, the Vietnam War was launched by a claim that there was a military Vietnam had attacked American vessels in the Gulf of Tonkin. This was totally untrue. But nevertheless, the United States put out. And then in the case of the war against Iraq, the United States claimed that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which was also a lie. So therefore, invention of things is nothing new by the United States, and China will just have to counter it. I don't think it will greatly disrupt economic relationships between the European Union and China. I think it will create some political problems. It's necessary for China's diplomacy to be active. It's necessary for it to get out the facts on this, but I don't think, and it'll create some political tension, but I don't think in Europe it will fundamentally disrupt the economic relations with China because of the fact, as you noticed, they signed these agreements. I mean, particularly on RCEP and on the agreement on investment with the European Union, the United States tried to block these. And involved in these is some of the United States' closest allies, Japan or Australia, for example. In the case of RCEP, they wouldn't go along with what the United States wanted. I mean, they didn't make a noise, they didn't criticize the United States, but they politely said, no, thank you. It's too economically important for us to have good relations with China. So we're going to go ahead and sign RCEP. On the question of the deal with the European Union, here the situation is that the European Union is now got in 2020 a larger trading partner with China than it is with the United States. This is partially due to the situation of the pandemic, of course, but nevertheless, that's a very important fact. If the European Union goes on with what the United States wants and tries to have bad economic relations with China, then this will damage the European Union. This will then have political consequences because if you don't have economic success, then you'll have political problems inside these countries. So again, as with the case of Australia and Japan, although Germany, for example, is not quite as close an ally of the United States as, say, as Australia, the European Union said, no, we have to think about our own interests. And therefore, again, they had to make a big fuss. They didn't make a big denunciation of the United States, but they went ahead and made the agreement. China's economy is the most rapidly growing economy in the world in the conditions of the pandemic. I mean, it'll be the only major economy in the world which grew in 2020. Therefore, if you've got a question whether you're going to invest into a relatively stagnant market, such as the European Union or the United States at the present time, because they haven't really got over the pandemic, that's the problem. Or you can invest in a dynamic growing economy like China, you're obviously going to take advantage of the rapid growth of China's economy. I mean, everything really comes down to the fact that China successfully dealt with the pandemic and the Western countries didn't. I mean, if you look at from the period, because I followed it day by day, by chance, I was out of China when the pandemic started. I could very easily have been in China, but as it so happened, I was outside. After the lockdown in Wuhan on the 23rd of January, the number of cases continued to rise for 2 weeks. And then by 6 weeks after that, they came down to close to zero. So China got the pandemic under control very rapidly, whereas the situation in the European Union and in Britain and the United States not under control at all. So really the key to China's economic success is the question of control of the pandemic, and then the economic success created the very high level of foreign investment. It's very logical.